Well, hello, listeners, and welcome to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello, everybody.
Unlocking Your Truth is a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality, and we broadcast on 101.7 FM across the Fraser Valley on CIVL. But you can also catch us live streaming on our Facebook group, which is the Awaken Your Intuition, no, Awaken Your Psychic Abilities Facebook group, as well as my YouTube channel. So welcome everybody. And if you are new to the show, let me explain a little bit. Like I said, it's a talk show, and every week we have a different topic under the umbrella of metaphysics and spirituality. And we also open up the floor for questions to our listeners.
Oh
So,
boy.
yay. So if you are tuning in on the live stream, you're welcome to join in the discussion, and you are welcome to ask questions as well. Well, tonight's topic is it's about psychic abilities. And if you're a regular listener, you'll know we've done a big, huge series about psychic abilities. The whole second half of last year was about psychic abilities, but we know that you love to talk about that subject. So today I've got a little bit of a different angle on it. And I thought what we could talk about is what's the difference between psychic senses and physical senses? Might seem like a same strange question, but I do think that sometimes people, when they're first developing their abilities, do have expectations that their psychic abilities are going to be just like their physical senses, and that's not quite how it is.
The only
So,
the only difference between the two is owl.
ow,
Al. A-L.
oh, okay, got you.
Because when you spell them, there's only two letters difference. There's an extra
Ah,
A-L when you mix up the
AL.
letters.
Okay. Well, so a good way to start is, well, let's first of all talk about body versus spirit, because you have a body and your body exists in the physical world. Your body is right here, right now in physical reality. So it has physical reality to contend with. It has to navigate the dimensions of time and space. So the physical body is kitted out with sensory apparatus that helps it to do that. So your physical senses are to help you navigate the physical world, and they're to help you communicate through a body with other bodies and interact with the physical environment. Actually, your brain as well. The human brain is exactly that. It is constructed to help you navigate physical reality. Now, you are not your body, though. You are spirit. You are a high vibration, eternal, limitless, multidimensional being of light. And you've created your body as a vehicle, as a vessel to project your consciousness into and to experience physical reality. But as spirit, you exist outside of time and space. So outside of that restricted um, uh, aspect that we were just talking about of physical reality. So your psychic senses help you navigate the non-physical world, and they are how we communicate as spirit. So it wouldn't make sense for us as spirit in that multidimensional level to be communicating through our physical abilities. So let's think about some of the differences between body and spirit. So I've mentioned a lot of them already. Spirit is high vibration. Body is dense physical matter. Spirit exists outside of time and space. Body exists within time and space. Body is finite. Spirit is infinite. Now, you are spirit in a body, and part of your journey as a human being is to learn how to consciously be present, awake, and aware within the human physical body. So that means, and we talk about this a lot on the show, that means well, the question is, how do you do that? How do you connect that very high vibration spiritual aspect with the dense physical matter? And the answer to that is by grounding. By grounding, by creating a grounding cord from your first chakra all the way to the center of the earth. That provides you with a way to anchor your light and your high vibration energy into the physical system in a safe way. Why does it make it safe? Because it gives you a way to arc off all that high vibration energy. So it helps you come into a more conscious state within the physical body. And most humans are not in a fully conscious state within the physical body. Most of them are operating from the body consciousness levels of the emotions, the intellect, the sex drive, and are lost in the body levels. But if you can ground, you can be present within your body, consciously awake and aware as spirit. And then you can start to be in charge as spirit of your physical reality. And you can also start to access your psychic abilities from the waking state by seating your consciousness within the physical system. So hopefully we've explained a little bit of the difference between body and spirit and the sensory levels of each of those aspects. And so I introduced the show to say, well, we're looking at the difference between psychic senses and spiritual senses. And I think because sometimes people, like I said, expect their psychic abilities to be exactly like their physical senses are. So maybe you might expect, well, if I have my clairvoyance, it's going to look exactly like looking out through my physical eyes. And of course it doesn't, because your physical eyes are your physical eyes, and your physical eyes are built to be able to pick up information within a certain frequency band that pertains to physical reality, which is what we were saying before. So while your clairvoyance is a visual psychic sense, and it is the ability to see as spirit, to be able to see energy, and to be able to see configurations of energy, it's not exactly the same as your physical sight. So let me see if I can find a good way to explain this to you. So if you Google online, okay, well, how do I get to see an aura? You'll get all sorts of things coming up that tell you to stare at things until you start to see lights appearing around the edges and so on. And really, your clairvoyance is like seeing with your eyes shut. Yes, you can have it available to you with your eyes open, but in a way, the best way for you to start experiencing that particular psychic sense is actually for a while to just close down exposure to all of the physical signals which tend to dominate our reality because we're physical beings. So it's to close your eyes and allow yourself to start to see images and colors that way. Okay, because that then is you starting to tune into your ability to see as spirit. And so another way maybe to explain that to you is, I bet if I said to you all right now, pink elephant, you'd be able to summon up the image of a pink elephant, even though you're not looking at a pink elephant with your physical eyes. And so your clairvoyance is a bit like that. It's a bit like when you look at, if you ever see, when you remember things, if you remember them in pictures, well, just think about what that's like. You're not seeing that memory again in front of you with your physical eyes, but you are seeing an image. So your clairvoyance is the ability to see as spirit and to tune into energy constructs that you can't see with your physical eyes. And we might say a similar thing when it comes to another psychic ability like clairaudience. It's not exactly the same as your physical hearing, because it's not like you'd be hearing a voice exactly like you're hearing my voice right now, but it is a form of verbal auditory intuition. Let's think of an example of that might be. So again, if you could remember a sound that you've heard, think about a cockerel crowing. I don't know why I thought of that, but I think we can all imagine a cockerel crowing. And so you're not hearing it with your physical ears. It's a kind of sound memory, isn't it? So your clairaudience is a bit more like that it is a sound that you are hearing, although the sound is not occurring in physical reality.
The interesting part about that is that people are different there. Some people are visual, some people are auditory, some people are kinesthetic. And so it's the same thing with their psychic abilities. Not everybody's the same, and they don't have the same combination of them.
Well, yes, that's right. And also the spiritual journey of spiritual unfoldment is also unique. So if you one way of thinking of it is that we're all taking a journey through our chakra system, but we're all not going to take the same journey. We're not going to take the same journey through the chakra system. It's going to be completely unique to us. And your psychic abilities are channeled through the chakra system, by the way. And so if you are, let's say your journey is right now that you're experiencing emotional overwhelm, and you struggle to be in crowds, and people exhaust you. Well, you might be going through a growth cycle to do with your second chakra. And on the other side of that growth cycle, where you've learned to own your space and know the difference between yourself and other people's energy, on the other side of that is a psychic ability called your clairsentience, which is the ability to tune in on emotional levels. Well, somebody else might be having, that might not be their main challenge or their main growth that they're going through. So we all have a completely unique lifetime, don't we? We all experience our chakra system in our own unique way, and we all have our unique pattern of psychic abilities. And that unique pattern of psychic abilities, and I use the term psychic ability blueprint actually, that pattern of psychic abilities is kitted out for you. And it actually relates directly to who you are and why you're here. So one really great way of being able to understand your life's mission is to be able to tap into your chakra system and your unique profile of psychic abilities. There's a really good analogy in my book, Intuition and Chakras, which I quite like. And it sort of talks about this hypothetical person before they're born. And before you're born, you're infinite. So imagine that you're infinite. You have so many different gifts, abilities, skills, knowledge, awareness, so much, infinitely more that you could possibly package into an individual body and an individual lifetime. So you kind of get to choose, well, okay, what's this lifetime about? What are the main themes of this lifetime? And so what do I need to bring forward of my unique blueprint to support me in that? So the analogy in the book is to say, well, this man, he's got carpentry tools, he's got gardener's tools, he's got, I don't know, electrical equipment or something. And he doesn't need to bring all of those into his lifetime. If his lifetime's going to be a carpenter, well, he brings his carpentry tools. So you channel different abilities and information from your higher being and your greater being, depending upon what your mission is. So if we can start to explore the pattern of psychic abilities, then we can start to build the story of your unique life mission.
Sounds interesting. Do you have any idea where they can get more information on the chakras and their intuition?
Yeah, well, there's a few different places. Obviously my book, Intuition and Chakras.
Yeah, I've just put that link. I just wanted to give you an in to.
Yeah, but the other option with that is a session with me to have your psychic ability blueprint done. So it's a kind of a psychic reading where we put together that unique profile for you. So, and you can find that on my website, by the way.
Well, listeners, afterwards.
Thank you. Yeah, you're tuning into Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey, and we will be back after these messages.
And answer your questions.
Yeah. And if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube and you've not watched us before, we're actually recording the radio show. And that's why we have to keep stopping and saying there's going to be some ads, because on the radio show there is ads. So
there's some
folks,
minuses too.
So folks, if you are watching live, do post all your questions, and your questions can be about what we've been talking about, but also you can, if you need a psychic look about something, in the final part of the show, we can definitely take a look at some stuff for you.
Okay.
Welcome back, listeners. You're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
That's me.
Tonight's episode of the show is about the psychic senses and how are they different than the physical senses. So in the first part of the show, that's what we were talking about. And now I know that some of our listeners have sent some questions in.
Oh, yeah, lots of questions.
And I would love to start answering them. So
Letitia was first. She came right on board, right off the bat. So Letitia says, since spirit is such a huge part of us, I would say more spirit than body, then why is it so hard to connect with our spirit, but not our body?
Great question, Letitia. And here's the thing. We have the illusion of being disconnected from our higher being, but we are always connected to our higher being. What happens is a few different things. One is what we were talking about at the beginning. We're in physical reality. And to be in physical reality, we're dealing with density, we're dealing with time and space, and we're focused in the present moment. And that's very, very different to the infinite realm of our higher being. So already in order just to be here, we've oriented away from spirit, we've oriented into a physical vessel, we've focused on these physical senses to be here in this physical vessel, in this physical world. And that in itself causes us to turn away from our higher being. But then what happens, which compounds it even more, is we live some life. And in life, things happen like disappointments, challenges, um, cultural programming, mean people say and do mean things. And all of those experiences get laid down within our energy field. So, and the more that we have that laid down in our energy field, the less easy it is for us to connect with spirit. I always like to use the idea of a window. So your energy field is like a window. And if your energy field is clear, it's easy to look out through the window. But if it's filthy and dirty, then you're not going to be able to see through it. And so many of us just accumulate all of this baggage throughout our lives. And as we do it, it becomes harder and harder for us to be aware of our higher being, to be aware of our higher guidance, and to be able to utilize our psychic senses. And so for many of us, the process to do that is we have to clean the dirty window. We have to release the baggage so that we prepare the vessel for spirit, so that the vessel is empty of everything else except you. And most of us, our vessel is not empty of everything else except us. It's got a whole bunch of stuff and other people in there as well. So I hope that answers your question, Letitia. So that there's a couple of things there. One is because you are in the physical world, and the other is because most humans are not really in their bodies, and they're very, very caught up in the primary sort of animal nature of the body, the emotions, the intellect, the sex drive, and those ego levels as well. Most of it, and none of those are who you are as spirit. All of those are aspects of being in the physical realm. And so if that's where your focus is, then you're not going to be connected so easily to the higher realm. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, great answer. Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Leslie. Okay, so Joanna asks, are our psychic abilities consistent through lifetimes? Like if someone were highly telekinetic one life, are they prone to have that same ability in all other lifetimes?
That's a great question, and you know, I've never been asked that question before. And what I would say to you is, I'm going to give two answers, and one answer is yes, and one answer is no. So we can explore a theme within many lifetimes. So all of you that are listening to this, if you're interested in psychic abilities, I'm sure you've had past lifetimes where you've explored them and where you've used them. And so you may have a theme of many lifetimes where that is what you did. And, you know, maybe spent time in some ancient mystery schools, being a mystic, you know, and all of those things. And so that's a theme. And within that theme, you might have used your clairvoyance every single time. But as a multidimensional, infinite creative soul, you may have also created lifetimes that have nothing to do with that theme at all. Maybe where you just want to go into the physicality completely and have that experience of being disconnected, you know, or just that you want to experience, I don't know, let's see if we can think of a theme here. Yeah, just the physical body and the physical nature. Then maybe that's not on the agenda for that lifetime. And so I would say that if you're telekinetic in one lifetime, does that mean that you are always telekinetic in every lifetime? No. Does that mean you have that information as spirit? Yes, but do you bring it through every single lifetime? No, because there's not many people on our planet today with that ability. It's not really a thing. Maybe if you went back to some of the very, very ancient civilizations, it might be a different matter, for example. I hope that answers your question, and thank you for asking it.
And that was a good question. I haven't heard that one myself. Very interesting. So Mackenzie is seeing as a clairvoyant different from what one would see while astral projecting?
Okay, that is also a really good question. Great questions today, everybody. So I'm going to also say two answers to this, which is also going to be a sort of yes, absolutely yes, that your clairvoyance, your ability to see as spirit, you have whether you're in the body or not in the body. So when you're astral traveling, you may be traveling in your astral body, or you may even experience yourself as pure spirit outside of any body at all. And you can see. Yes, you can. And that's your clairvoyance. Now, when you're in the physical body, often what happens with people is it's not quite as clear. So you can be astral traveling and have an amazing experience where everything's brilliant and clear. And one of the reasons is that you are not in the physical body, because as soon as you get into the physical body, you've got the intellect to contend with. And so many people, when they're in the physical body, it can be a bit more fuzzy and a bit more vague and not quite as clear. And usually that is because the intellect can be so dominant for most people. It can be just as clear in the physical body, but it takes practice, and it takes that idea of cleaning the dirty window that I was talking about earlier. So in the body, you have to get out of your own way. You have to learn how to bypass the intellect and how to clean up your system to make it be as clear and lucid as it might be when you're astral traveling or out of the body. Brilliant questions. I can't wait for the next one.
You'll have to until I decide to give it to you. Okay, Letitia says, or asks, I ground daily, sometimes multiple times a day, but I haven't put much attention to my chakras. Do I need to put more time and energy into my chakras?
Well, it's like anything, Letitia. If you want to develop your psychic abilities, it's like spending time at the gym. And so I would say yes, meditate, spend time in meditation and tuning out the physical world and tuning into your inner world. And your chakra system is part of that inner world. And again, we want the system to be flowing and high vibration in order for you to be able to access your psychic abilities while in the physical body. There's a lot being written about the chakra system and how it relates to health, not so much being written about the chakra system and how it relates to your psychic abilities. Hence my book, Intuition and Chakras, which is about that. But so your chakras need to be flowing, and they need to be clear and flowing and not blocked, in order for you to clearly access your psychic abilities. And so if you meditate and you learn energy techniques to heal yourself, to balance your chakra system, then you're going to be more likely to open up psychically and spiritually. In fact, many people who just take to meditation just because they're wanting to de-stress, or they're wanting to just for other reasons, if they become avid meditators, then often naturally their psychic abilities do actually begin to awaken as a side effect of that. And if somebody's really keen on developing their psychic abilities, and because of it they have to meditate, then naturally their life will get less stressful. So I hope that answers your question. So I'd love another question. That would be great.
Hello.
Hello.
So Letitia says she's read your book from cover to cover.
Thank you, Letitia.
She didn't say she liked it or not, but she read it from cover to
Well,
cover.
I don't think she'd be watching me if she didn't, maybe. Or she might. But she'd probably be writing different things that she
So
has.
here, I have a question from Afshin. And
Right.
Afshin says, are our body ailments related to an ailing spirit? Hang on a sec. Excuse me. Hope you didn't hear
No,
that. To our spirit, why are some sicker than others? Is the spirit suffering too?
no, not at all. So why do you get sick? Because there's a misalignment of your energy. You get sick because your energy is out of alignment with your higher being. If you are completely in alignment with your higher being, well, and I'm going to qualify that. All my answers today, there's two answers to everything, isn't there? But let's start with this version of it. So if you're out of alignment with your higher being, then your energy is not flowing cleanly and in alignment through the system. There's something off about you. Then there's something off about your energy. And initially, the body will try and tell you through its emotions. So the emotions are how the body communicates with you, the higher being. Remember, we talked about clairsentience earlier. And if you, at that point, listen to the emotions, then you can correct the misalignment. But if you don't, then the body will go, hey, she's not listening to me. I'm going to shout louder. So you know that thing that just was a little bit of discomfort? Well, I'm going to make it into a nasty pain now. And because then you can't ignore me anymore. So quite the opposite. It's not related to an ailing spirit, but it is related to a misalignment between body and spirit. I will address your question of why, well, maybe I can connect this. So why are some sicker than others? So here's another reason for being ill. There might be a purpose to an illness. Sometimes it could be to redress a balance. Let's take the typical example of somebody that has a high-powered job, works really super hard, many hours a day, and never takes a break. Well, you might eventually find yourself with a flu, for example, to be topical, that puts you on your back for a few days because you needed to rebalance and have less doing and more being. The body was tired and fatigued and it needed a break, for example. Or let's make up another example of somebody who has been a giver their whole life, always giving of themselves and never allowing themselves to receive. And let's say towards the end of their life, they become dependent on other people to take care of them. That dependency helps them redress the balance of their out of balance giving and receiving. So I guess what I'm saying is it's always a misalignment between body and spirit, but it can serve the purpose. An illness can serve the purpose to help you get back in alignment. So why are some sicker than others? Some people ignore their body more than others when it talks to them. Some people might decide to have an illness precisely because they want to rebalance themselves and they don't know another way. We might know a way to meditate to rebalance our energies, but for somebody who has never meditated a day in their life and isn't into this spiritual stuff, they might create an illness, they might create a surgery, they might create all manner of different things to help them to redress a balance. And then there's a third instance that I can think of which is like, why do some children get born ill? Or what's the purpose of that? And sometimes it actually can be to a group agreement to help others learn how to love unconditionally. And, the sick child may also get some kind of benefit from that. And not all sick kids are like that example. So some of them might be to get attention and it's a misalignment that needs to be corrected. So many examples, but Afshin, thank you very much for that question. I enjoyed answering
good
it.
question. Getting good questions tonight, Dr. Leslie?
It's brilliant.
Yes. Pushed my screen up too high. So Letitia wrote a note. She says, I very much liked it. Also have started reading Abraham Hicks and trying to bring it all together. That's wonderful, Letitia.
Great.
That's one of Leslie's favorite, Abraham Hicks.
Yeah, I have a really cool manifestation course that I just finished creating.
Yes.
It'll
Okay.
be up on my website soon. Not yet.
Here's
though.
the manifestation for now. Guess what it is?
A break.
How did you know? Are you psychic?
You've been tuning into Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey, talking about psychic senses. We love to talk about that, and we know that you do, and answering your questions, which are brilliant, brilliant questions. So I hope you keep asking them when we come back after the break. Welcome back, lovely listeners, and thank you for tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie. We are loving hanging out with you this evening, talking all about psychic senses. And we would love to know your questions about that or anything else.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
So Christine says, would it be in my best interest to move to be closer to my son? It would push me way out of my comfort zone. What can I do to help me overcome my anxiety about it?
Okay. I assume your son is a grown-up son. Well, so, okay, let's take a look. Yes, well, first of all, I'll just comment on the anxiety. It's going to be really hard for you to make a decision if you're in a state of fear. And anxiety is a state of fear. Because remember, we're talking about your energy needs to be in flow for you to access your higher guidance. And if you're in fear, your energy isn't flowing. Fear is like a block of ice. Fear is like the lowest vibration, and the energy doesn't move when you're in fear. So in order to access your own higher information, the first step is, how do I get out of fear? And I don't know any any better way than meditate through meditation. So I can see the anxiety, and I can see that it's freezing up your system. And Corey usually posts a link to a free meditation on my website that teaches you grounding and centering. So I'll ask him to post that for you, because I'm seeing you're not doing either of those things. And that would help you tremendously to get your energy moving again. The other thing I'm seeing is that there's, it looks like the anxiety and fear is seated in, I want to say past time programming. I was going to say the past, but it looks like a vibration of programming where you've just taken on a framework of beliefs that means you don't really have much confidence in yourself. And so I wonder, Christine, if you're thinking moving, well, if we were having a proper session, I could get more information from you, but it just looks like there's some programming in your system where you don't feel confident in yourself and your ability to do things, and then that's fixed in your past. So also using meditation to help you release and let go of those limits. And then would it be in your best interest for you to move closer to your son? And here's the thing, wouldn't it be a lot better for you to come to that answer yourself? Because the last thing I want to do is program you with an answer. But I mean, so here's the thing. We want to encourage you to meditate. And I don't think you're going to do it until you feel comfortable within yourself. But if you were to ask me that question, I'm actually seeing it looks good for you to move closer to your son. So maybe that will then encourage you to help to do some meditation and help you to get over your fear and anxiety. Thank you for your question.
Okay, our next question's from Curious George.
Oh, cool. We like Curious George.
He's got some interesting questions on the board tonight. He sent a couple in earlier. I'll try to get to them. He says, found a group of strange people who posted pictures of light shapes. They claim that they're orbs and similar. Also, they claim that they channel with entities from other planets. Can this be real?
Well, it can be real. Um, you know, and it's not necessarily scary. I mean, of course, are we the only planet that life exists on? No. Are we the most advanced planet in the galaxy? No. So there's plenty of lovely, wonderful, you know, galactic beings that we can communicate with. Opening up our psychic senses opens up so many different things. And so being able to talk to our intergalactic and galactic neighbors is something that can be done. I have plenty of friends that I talk to who are not from this earth, guides that I work with, and so on. And so I would just say, from firsthand experience, absolutely you can connect with and tune into off-planet beings and talk to them. There's some you wouldn't want to talk to, just like there's people that you wouldn't want to talk to, but there's plenty of wonderful ones that have brilliant information, and they're actually streaming into our consciousness and to assist us right now, because we are in such a state of struggle and polarization on our planet, and we are going through our mass awakening, but we're, you know, we're going through it kind of kicking and screaming, and so many of them are available to help us at this time. Thank you, George.
Good question, though, George. I've asked that question myself sometimes. Question from Raylene. Does our journey in this lifetime end with everyone eventually awakening these psychic abilities and become one with spirit? If so, why is it so inaccessible to those who cannot pay for the knowledge and tools to help them do this?
So, the answer to will everyone this lifetime wake up? No. No. But you're seeing the beginning of the wave of a transition of a planet that is on the pivot point from the dark ages of unconsciousness into an age of higher consciousness. And so this is going to take generations. It's not going to happen. I don't know how old you are, but it's not going to happen by the end of this lifetime, maybe not the next couple, but soon in our scale of human endeavor. And so Raylene, it's absolutely available for free, and all the information is within you. So all a teacher like me does is we give you some frameworks to operate in. We give you some guidance. We give you the benefit of our experience of having done it. But there are many pathways to achieve the same result. And so I wouldn't say, if you can't afford to pay for a course, that means accessing your psychic abilities is closed to you. But I would also, so let me take a look where this is coming from. So I'm seeing one of your major pain points has to do with havingness and allowing yourself to receive and have, and that there are lots of beliefs that you can't have things, and so that affects your manifestation, that affects your abundance, and it affects your, you know, if you have a desire to take courses and things, whether they're with me or whether they're with somebody else. So you know, that might be somewhere that you could look at as well. And you know, somebody mentioned earlier Esther Hicks and Abraham Hicks. Well, there's a heck of a lot of free information there about manifestation that you can tap into, and maybe start there. All right, next question.
Okay. So this is from Beth. Beth says, I've recently had the song from Frozen go through my mind. Let it go, but easily replaced with Let it flow.
Fantastic, Beth.
Leslie doesn't know either of those.
No, but I know Beth, and I know that it's fantastic because Beth is one of my students, and so replacing let it. So that's really great, Beth, and I'm glad to see you on the show this evening.
Okay, Letitia says, if there's time, I would love a psychic reading, really just about any part of my metaphysical journey.
All right, well, let's just give you a quick look, Letitia. Well, I think what I want to do is just validate you, really. I mean, I'll talk about your main spiritual growth cycle, but I'll also talk about your focus. I'm seeing you're very focused. You are focused on your, what might we call it, your spiritual journey, your desire to heal, your desire to open up spiritually, your desire to connect. I'm seeing that your current growth cycle is mirroring a lot of what's going on the planet, which is kind of polarization. So when I look at your growth cycle, it's almost like part is in the light and part is in the shadow. So you've got both things going on within your system, it looks like. But what you're doing, what I see that you're doing is you're orienting yourself to say, I choose the light. And this is actually something that we can all do, because you create your reality through your focus and through your intentions. So if you look out at our world today, you've got a choice. You can go, isn't it awful? Doesn't it suck? Oh, aren't we all, isn't all these terrible things? If you focus on that, you feed energy to grow more of that. But if you focus on the potential, where, the positive, we're getting more time at home, more time to meditate, we're able to start to see what parts of the system aren't working, maybe being innovative about how we can change it. Well, then you're feeding that trajectory for humanity. And what I'm seeing Letitia doing is exactly that. She's got the light and dark going on, but she's staying firmly focused on the light. So thank you for your focus in helping us move in that direction, Letitia.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. And this is from Mackenzie. She says, I'd like to connect with my guides, but I'm not entirely sure what that looks like. In what ways will they appear to me?
Well, see, with all of this stuff, you can leave it up to chance and sit there going, oh, how's it? Or you can sort of take it by the reins and actively communicate with them. So, and it's very easy. Like I have people come for sessions with me all the time that want to do this. And within a session or two, I actually can have them communicating with their guides, mostly. So what does that look like? I'm trying to find an answer that I can just easily say on the radio that's not giving you these, at length instructions. But I would start by meditating, by clearing the window. Remember, we talked about, is your window dirty or clear? So meditating, clearing the window, and ask your guides to come to you. Ask your guides to come to you to assist you in being able to perceive them, and ask them while you're in meditation. So you could be asking them in the middle of a busy day when you need help, and that's maybe going to be a bit harder to tune in. But if you sit and meditate for half an hour and then you ask for a guide to come and make itself known. And a little hint is download that free meditation that teaches you to ground and center, because the centering starts to activate your clairvoyance. So use those meditation techniques and ask your guides to come to you. There you go.
It's like all these guides are waiting in a employment area, daily employment area, like just to make an analogy, waiting for somebody to hire them. It's the same thing. I mean, these guides, they're just waiting. It's not like you have to be special to get a guide. They'll come at your beck and call. They're just waiting and anxious to help you.
Yeah, you all have lots of guides and
Yeah.
people, beings available to assist you.
Yeah. So next one here is I'm someone who feels things around me and in others really easily. I've been like this since forever, but I'm just now trying to get in touch with it. Lately, though, I've been feeling things like intensely about a certain situation regarding my ex, but everything ends up turning out to be opposite, or at least in his actions. What's happening? Am I losing my gifts? Can anyone help me understand?
Thank you for that question. And that's a really great question to tie in with our theme of body versus spirit. And I see this a lot. Years ago on the show, we had people sending questions by email, and there were often people would have this relationship dilemma. I love him so much. I know the love is there. So why is he acting like this? And why can't he realize how much love we have? And the answer is body and spirit, because as spirit, of course, there is love and there is connection. So there are so many people that you meet and there is a deep connection on a soul level. And the core of that connection is founded on love, because as spirit, who we are is love. It's all based on love. But when you get into a body on planet Earth, then it gets a bit more complicated than that. And so, it's so you might be experiencing that the other person might not be, or in your spiritual agreement to connect in this lifetime, you may be acting as antagonists. You may be playing the part of someone who triggers a growth cycle for you, where you can learn something that you wouldn't learn if everything was hearts and flowers. So the answer to that question is body versus spirit. You're tuning into, as spirit, the love and going, why isn't that showing up on planet Earth? And the answer is because this is planet Earth, and it's maybe that it's showing up in the form of something that feels awful, but in the end does you a service because you grow from it. Maybe the other person just has a physical focus and that's just not on their radar. Hopefully that answers the question.
Hope so. Okay, we have another question from George, who had written this in earlier. He says, took 2 energy bracelets to a testing machine. One of them gave me a feeling of unrest in my chest that also shown on the computer print. Next day, I tried the same bracelet on the same wrist, and I got the same unpleasant feeling. The manufacturer selling them said sleep aids. A kid who was having a rare disorder wore that bracelet before I took it for a test. How can I know if the bracelet's affecting only me, or if it does that to the kid, or if I sense the stored emotions?
Well, that's interesting. I don't know if I caught all the nuances of that, but I'll try to give an answer, which is to say, if you wear a piece of jewelry, then that piece of jewelry can absorb your energy. So let's say somebody who was particularly disturbed wore something before you did, then yes, you could be picking up on the disturbance of the person that wore it before you did. I don't think he said what the bracelet was made of, but let's say it's made of some kind of crystal or stone or other substance. If your vibration is higher than the vibration of that thing, it might not feel great. It might not feel like it does anything for you. If your vibration is lower than it, then it might help raise your vibration up. The other thing about crystals is they will amplify energy. And so and again, I don't know what it was made from, but let's say you have a disturbance in your system and then you wear a crystal. you might start feeling worse. Maybe the crystal will start amplifying that energy. Crystals can also absorb the energy as well, as we just said. So there can be a few different explanations for that, George, but thank you for asking it.
And that brings us basically to the end of the show, Dr. Leslie.
Well, I've enjoyed tonight's show. Thank you, everyone who showed up to listen live and participate in the chat. We are here every Tuesday from 7 to 8 Pacific time, whether you're tuning in on the live stream on Facebook, on YouTube, or on 101.7 FM, or on the podcast, on any podcasting platform, or on my website, drlesliephillips.com. There's loads of places that you can tune in. So bye, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Yes, see you all next week.